Max Payne 3, we're on chapter 13. After a pretty lengthy beginning, you find yourself down in the police station jail cells. And after defeating some of these police officers, if that's what you want to call them, our first gun piece is right around the corner. Okay, that's our first gun piece, and as you work your way around, there's a couple guys here you got to shoot. And then after that, in this shower is going to be our second gold piece. Okay, and then before we get out of here, there's a clue. I can hear the guy talking. But you want to make sure that you do this before you, this guy here, I believe, is our first clue. There we go.
Mr. Strip Club scumbag.
You.
Yeah, me.
I am Mike. You ain't gonna help me.
You get what you deserve, pal.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
They were legal.
Okay, that's going to take care of our first two gun pieces and our first clue. Okay, after you get through the prison cells, you come through the door into this big room here, a bunch of dudes you got to shoot. And then our switch for this door right there is in here, but before activating the switch, our next clue is in here.
It was Monday's arrest log, as far as I could tell, and no sign of anybody from Nova Esperanza. All those poor bastards have been checked straight into the Imperial Palace Hotel.
Okay, that's it for the clues. No gun pieces till we get a little further up, so we'll chime in there. Alright, we're down in a parking garage here. You have to defeat an armored vehicle with a RPG right above us. And you come in here, there's much more guys you got to kill. And then before moving on through those doors over there, you get your next gun piece right here. Okay, the golden part for the law. Okay, our next part is going to be a little bit further up, and we'll chime in there. Alright, right from our last gun part, you go up the stairs, you come out this door right here. There's three dudes right there you got to kill, but before continuing on, our next gun piece is right here. Okay, our next clue and gun piece is a little further up, so we'll cut in there. Okay, from our last part that we collected, you come through the doors here. I want to forget those painkillers.
Special
You come in and we're in the police gym here. As you can see, I dealt with all the bad guys. And then before continuing on, you want to hit the men's locker room. And our next gun piece is right there. Nice. Okay, our next clue and gun piece is a little bit further up, so we'll chime in there. Alright, right after the gym, you come through the doors. We got a kitchen, dining room, and administration office right here. A whole bunch of bad guys, dealt with all them. Okay, our next clue and gun piece is in here. Okay, that door right up there is where we're heading. But before we do that, we'll come in here and get our gun piece. Okay, and our clue is going to be in here.
Decker's blood money from the good doctor. Serrano canceled one side of that transaction. The other was on me.
Okay, that's going to wrap up the clue and gun piece in this area. We're going to head through the doors, deal with a whole bunch of bad guys, and then before hitting the elevator, we're going to get our next clue and gun. Alright. We're down here where the elevators are. A whole bunch of guys came out. You can see some of my handiwork all over here. Okay, there are no clues in this area, but two gun pieces. So, okay, our Next gun piece is right here. Nice. Okay, and our next piece is over here. The elevator is where we're going to go to continue on. Nice, Golden Commando. Loving that. Okay, that takes care of the gun pieces here. We're going to be further up on the 5th floor battle. And we got 2 clues up there, and then we'll... Okay, we just took the elevator up. Dealt with the 5th floor battle. I come to realize that I do not like the laser beam on these weapons. I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. Anyway, there's 2 pieces of clue up here. Okay, in the office on the right.
AUP. Those were the guys who jumped the yacht in Panama. And what was this? Had the Brazilian cops tipped them off about the money?
Okay, and there's one more clue up here.
Sao
Laptop.
Paulo's own David and Goliath. I'd pinned De Silva as a coward, but he'd risked more than anyone, and he'd never taken a bribe. I still didn't know how I'd gone from drinking myself numb and...
Okay, you go through the doors and you come in here, and our next clue is on this little stage. You got to walk on it or something.
In the briefing room. Now wasn't.
Oh, there we go.
CS were all but out of business in Sao Paulo, and suddenly Becker and Victor looked like local heroes in the war on crime. They'd really gotten their money's worth outsourcing their problems onto me. My old pal Serrano. We'd both been unwitting clowns in this sorry circus. Part of me hoped he'd made it out of that hotel alive. I didn't recognize the guy. Maybe this was the new slum king De Silva had talked about. A throne never stays empty for long. Fame at last. It was no great surprise I'd made Ufe's most wanted list. I hadn't done much to improve the reputation of Americans abroad over the past few weeks, and there they were. My illustrious employers, 3 dead and still every chance I'd go 4 for 4. None of this was going to look good on the resume. And I was in good company. Howell Passos, sent up north to find a washed-up gringo who would act tough and play dumb. Boy, did he ever deliver.
Okay, that takes care of the clues. We got one more clue and one more gun part, and that's going to be further up towards the end of the level. Okay, we're getting our last clue. You come through those doors, you kind of get a shooting sequence right in here. You shoot a whole bunch of guys across the way through the window. Buzzer, you get some more guys to come out through here. I guess this is the armory room. There's a switch up here, but before activating it, right there's our switch, but before that our last clue is right here.
It was a little late to be thinking about precautions, but something told me this shit show was barely through the warm-up act.
Okay, that's going to take care of all the clues. We got one more gun piece left, and it's a little bit further up. We got another big gun battle in a shooting range. Okay, that's it, and we'll... Alright, our last piece, as you work your way through the shooting range, you come along these sandbags you use for cover. As you can see, there's quite a few guys up here to deal with, but our last part is right here. Okay, now we got the gold law. Take a quick look. Okay, all the clues, all 3 weapons and gold pieces. Okay, AA Gamer for Life, Max Payne 3, this is Chapter 13, wrapping up the collectibles. We'll see you on Chapter 14.